Do you believe in celebrating Valentine's Day?
Do I believe in Valentine's Day? Um, yeah, I do. I think if you need to celebrate Valentine's, there is something inherently wrong with your relationship, and I'm talking deep trauma that needs to be healed. When I was about 4 or 5, I remember asking, why do you and Dad get each other presents for Valentine's Day? And my mum says, because we love each other, and that's what people who love each other do. So the next year, I went to the corner shop and I bought my mum and dad a bar of chocolate. And my mum says, why did you buy us something for Valentine's Day? And I said, because I love you. They died last year. Well, there's a silver lining. I won't have to buy them a present this year. If you don't celebrate Valentine's Day, then what are you doing? I'm a bit agnostic when it comes to Valentine's Day. Being a sad act. That's what you're doing. You're being a sad act and you're being a minge bag. If it's a need rather than a want, come and see me, because there is a lot of things that we need to get out. Some daddy issues. If you're not in a relationship, that doesn't mean that you can't celebrate Valentine's. You can love yourself. And I feel sad for people who don't celebrate it. Even if it's by choice, I don't. Why wouldn't you want flowers? Who decided that girls want flowers? Flowers die. Do you know what I mean? So, why would you buy me flowers? I do celebrate Valentine's Day, actually, with a nice big glass of Vino di Campo. And yes, I will sit there eating chocolates, watching Bridget Jones. Really does scream desperate on Valentine's Day. Get a takeaway. Last year was a Tuesday, and then I'll take myself up to bed nice and early to get some me time. That's the one. Love is the greatest emotion in the world. It's the strongest emotion in the world, and it is here to conquer. I did have one guy who delivered me a curry one year, actually gave me a single rose in the carrier bag, which I thought was a really nice touch. So what are you trying to say about our love? If you're going to give me something that's going to die, who doesn't want a little day to celebrate love? Do you know what I mean? We get one day in the whole year to be treated. That's a big red flag. My fella, for Valentine's Day, I'll walk downstairs, rose petals all over the floor. He'll cook me a breakfast. There has been a deep trauma in your life, probably daddy issues. That's the bare minimum. We can't get past that. It will take years of work, but one day, when you can give or take Valentine's, you'll know it was worth it.
Yes, I do celebrate Valentine's Day. My late husband George, he'd come home with some roses and he would cook my tea for me. And then he would clean the dishes and he would make sure I was okay. And now that he is gone, I leave him roses and I make sure he's okay. He's grave.
Why would you say no to chocolate and roses? I don't get it. It's they're gonna die. They're gonna die. Just buy us some flowers. It's not hard. And if you can, don't get them from the garage. I mean, nobody's ever bought me flowers, but if they did buy me flowers, I'd be like, why have you bought me flowers? I believe in celebrating Valentine's Day. I'm sorry, but if you say that you don't, then you're just a liar. This Pandora necklace was last year's Valentine's present, and he only got away with that because we'd only been going out with each other for 6 months. This year's going to be completely different.
The most romantic thing to happen to you?
The most romantic thing to happen to me was probably on the way here in the car. because Barry dropped me off and he was like, babe, I've been thinking for Valentine's Day, I know you've been asking for it for ages. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I'm going to pay for your lip filler and your Botox, which he thinks I've never had, but I've actually had for the last 3 years. So that's like a big expense off my back now, because he won't just be getting the first one.
It would have to be my late husband George again. He was working in India at the time for about 6 months.
When I was like 15, I started like a cyber relationship with someone. He told me that he was in a band. My husband, the way he proposed to me. So we've got like a favourite Greasy Spoon cafe, and we often go there on a Saturday or a Sunday, and I always just got an omelette. But it came and the omelette said, "Will you marry me?" And he told me to come and see his band because he'd wrote a song for me. And he was going to play it. So I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, I'll go. There was a moment of confusion because I looked at the waitress and I was like, all right. He said, this song is for Beck. And we all screamed. He'd sorted it out with the cafe and he'd asked them to write in ketchup, "Will you marry me?" Obviously I said yes. And it was called Beck the Wreck. It became apparent that it wasn't really a romantic song. Yeah, I mean, the lyrics were quite mean, because she is fucking smelly. Watch out for her huge fucking belly.
And we're talking about, it must have been about 1979. And he sent me a letter every single day to make sure that we didn't spend a day apart.
This is what they talk about. Like, this is toxic, and this is like so like intense. And the fact that it was like death metal was just like, it was just like my dream at that time.
But he moved about so much I could never send one back. But yeah, I had about 180 letters. I've still got them, actually. Still got them in the loft.
Anyway, it was called Beck the Wreck, and I think it's still on YouTube. So like, you can go and have a look at it if you want. And I was only seeing him for about 4 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, and I was very stressed at the time. I'd just come out of university. I was trying to do my masters, and he had an all expenses paid trip to Japan. He gave me his holiday. He told me I needed to relax, that the Japanese gardens would help that. And, God, and I can't even remember his name. But the holiday was great. Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah, got up to all kinds, actually. Had sex with a lot of Japanese men. The most romantic thing to happen to me, most romantic. Oof. One of my old boyfriends, he actually proposed to me on a gondola in Venice, and well, you can't get more romantic than that, but he tried. Oh, there was one time I was sitting in a cafe on my own, and I sat there in that cafe nursing my cappuccino. All the while, a stranger from across the room was giving me eye contact. He actually asked the man who was steering the gondola to sing me a song, and he'd asked him to sing a song with my name in it. Now, my name's Karen. Lots of eye contact. And I mean, I must have been looking at him to see him looking at me, but I got really embarrassed. Now, clearly the gondola man did not know a song with the name Karen in it. I certainly don't. So I looked out of the window, and he only bought my cappuccino for me. Yeah, he just paid for my cappuccino and left. So what we actually got was, Karen Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl who thinks that I am the one. But the kid is not my son. Now that is a real man. It was a spectacle, definitely. And of course, I said yes. And he broke up with me on the flight home, actually. So, a bit bittersweet.
What is your worst ever date experience?
Um, oh, oh, it would have to be 9/11, wouldn't it? That was a terrible date.
One time I went on a date with someone who weren't from Liverpool. I feel like that's all I've got to say. Like, surely everyone knows. Like, everyone's probably got a horror story. I can't believe I'm saying this. I went on a date with somebody and it went really well. And we drank a lot and we'd ate a lot. Firstly, he wasn't from Liverpool. I'd had 4 Jaegers. I said, what's your party trick? And he was like, I haven't got one. What's your party trick? Like, we had a meal and that, and the bill came. And he wanted to split the bill. And so I was like, oh, I can do slut drops. And just as I said it, I felt like a bit of a gurgle in my stomach. He wanted to split the bill, like, in half with me. I was like, sorry, what? Go Dutch. Anyway, he said, how many can you do? And I was like, loads. I have never counted. So he was like, go on then, I'll count you. So I done 1. And then I went down for number 2. And to split the bill, I had a number 2. I shit myself on the dance floor. No, mate. No, you're paying for the pleasure of my company. And to be honest, you're lucky I've even sat down. Have you seen the kip of your shoes? And I wasn't expecting it. He wasn't expecting it. I certainly didn't expect it to shoot out of my knickers the speed it did. It's actually making me feel sick thinking about him. Oh my God. But once you've shit yourself on a dance floor, you really can't go much lower than that. It was the most embarrassing moment of my life. And I've had some embarrassing moments. I've only actually been on like 1 actual date. Basically, we were planning on meeting at like an arcade, and like I was cool with that because like I'm quite into my games and stuff. So like I got ready, and you go into an arcade, so you want to look nice, but it's also got to be practical. So like I wore my new Docs. I honestly looked like the best I've ever looked. I stepped out of the taxi and he was stood there waiting for me. And he waved at me and I was like, hi, you okay? And just as I said, like, you okay? A gang of scallies went past and threw out a McDonald's milkshake. And it went all over me. Like, it hit me like directly on the head. I was absolutely gutted, obviously. Okay, my worst ever date experience. And let's just kind of hone in on that word, experience, because that's what every date is, and that's what every day, is. But like the guy was really cool about it, and he was just like, do you know what? Just go into the toilets and like just clean yourself up, it'll be fine. So I was like, right, yeah, no, you're right. Like, let's not let this ruin it. I once went on a date with somebody who insisted that we didn't go for dinner because he had numerous allergies and it would be far too much fuss to go and have a dinner. Can't be bothered with faffing and asking for special menus. Fine. So I went into the toilets and like it was like about 15 minutes, but I had a whole banana milkshake on me. I came out and the guy had just gone. Like he wasn't even waiting for me. And I thought, well, I respect that. Let's just go and have a couple of cocktails. So we did. And, we were getting on like a house on fire. Like it was just like so humiliating because I stank of banana milkshake and I was on my own. And I think I just got a taxi home after that. I went to the bar to order a couple more drinks because I am a modern lady. And I had a couple of peanuts at the bar. They were nice peanuts, by the way. Honey roast peanuts, I think they were. Anyway, I went back to the table. And things were getting a bit closer. We started touching each other's legs and thighs and arms, and before we knew it, I was once set up on a blind date, full on canoodling in the middle of this, swanky bar. We kissed, and it was great. It was a lovely kiss. I was quite happy to be set up on a blind date, and I could feel his mouth, getting more and more kind of involved. We were making noises. It was quite animalistic, but it was a real blind date. It was completely blind, like the guy couldn't see. And then it was like his tongue filled my mouth, and it was quite phallic, which I didn't mind, not at all. So I took this as a he wants more. Turns up to the bar. We carried on kissing. I toddled over. He was kicking in his chair. See a guy on his own. It's obviously Tony. So I goes over. Thought it was all good signs. But he died of anaphylactic shock. And I say, hiya, you must be Tony. My name's Karen. With no hesitation, he turned his head and looked in my direction and said, I'm awfully sorry, Karen. I'm afraid this can go on no longer. He had a severe peanut allergy. I didn't know. So, unfortunately, I'm repulsed by your voice. I was speechless. It was in the newspapers. Yeah. And the headline was The Kiss of Death, obviously. So original. Here I am, willing to accept his disability with open arms, and he knows that I'm not right for him. I didn't get any charges. It was a complete accident. He didn't have his EpiPen. I asked him what was wrong with it. He said I sounded too masculine. I didn't want to offend him, but I thought, I'm not having that, I'm not having it. Inadvertently killing somebody is, it's got to be top of the list, hasn't it? What is it about my voice that you really can't stand? And he said, I just feel like if you would let me feel your breasts, I might feel a little bit more comfortable. Dates. I've been on, 50 first dates. First date, asking to feel my breasts. There was a time in Morrison's, and I was stood at the till, and there was a guy in front of me, and we were having really good banter. We were having a real good laugh, and I should not have insisted that he felt my boobs, but I did. Where was I? So yeah, we were having a great time, having a great laugh, and he said, we should do this again sometime. And I said, well, yeah. I'll be here the same day, the same time next week. And he said, it's a date. So I went there. I went back the next week and he was nowhere to be seen. And so I thought, something could have come up. So I went back the next week, and it was a particularly low point. And the next week, and the week after that. And eventually I just thought, he was such a kind, nice gentleman. He must have died. He must have been ran over on his way to Morrison's. It's the only explanation. I took his hands, placed them on my breasts, and he said, I thought you were going to let me feel your boobs. They are my boobs, mate. They are my boobs.